All right, welcome everybody to January's Panvala Town Hall. Hope everyone is having a great New Year so far and had a happy holidays. It's good to be back and seeing people's faces again. For this month's Town Hall, it's a little bit of a different format than usual. Our normal Town Hall is really focused on the community spotlight, where we highlight one or two of the communities within Panvala. They get to share what's going on, and then we go into kind of updates from around Panvala. Since this is a special New Year's edition of the Town Hall, we didn't want to have people prepare for this during the holidays. So we'll just not have a community spotlight this month, but it's jam-packed with updates, especially about staking for this quarter. So if you have questions about that, you're definitely in the right place. Normally we also kick off with visitor introductions. But everyone who's here right now is not a visitor, no new people this time. But if you want to give a shout out about who you are, what community you're a part of, what you do, feel free to use this time for that. And if nobody wants to, that's fine too. We'll just move on.
Sure, I can jump in. Hi, everyone. I'm Zaji. I'm a member of Meta Gamma Delta. That's how I got introduced to Panvala. Now I'm also a Panvala fellow, and then I work at Chainlink. Lots of fun Web3 things happening there. But yeah, I guess an update might be that Meta Gamma Delta is starting off the year fresh. We're looking to give out some grants and also to raise some funds to give out grants. So if anybody listening to this thinks, oh, a women-led Web3 community is something that I'm interested in potentially donating to or seeing how you can support us, please reach out, because we are kind of in a new wave with the new year, looking for some movement on that front. So yeah, thank you.
Hey, Jovian here. So I'm part of Diamond DAO and Jovian Network. Jovian Network is part of Panvala. Diamond DAO needs to join Panvala like today. Every project I'm part of needs to join Panvala. But yeah, no, I'm having a really good beginning of the year. I'm shifting a lot to communication. So I'm like doing more content. I'm doing more writing and more conversations and interviews, and I'm having a great start to the new year. Jovian Network is funded by Meta Gamma Delta to do diversity research. So we're planning like kind of a season of activities, including live learning and articles that will be published that are talking about coming at this issue of diversity in DAOs from a lot of different angles. I'm working with some really brilliant people, most of whom I met through Panvala and through the Women-Led Web3 Coalition. So yeah, this is really a project that like was born through like the hybridized network that comes from Panvala, totally. So yeah, we're excited to be working on that. And then yeah, that's it. That's my update. Passing it to Rachel.
I don't know if I have much of an update, but I am working with Jovian and Jovian Network, and I'm really excited about what we're going to be doing, what we've been doing there. I also help coordinate the women-led Web3 Coalition, and we have a new project forming out of that, which I'm very excited about as well. Details to come later. And then I also just launched beard oils for Meta Factory. So if you have a beard or know someone with a beard, I put a lot of love into those oils, so you can find them on Meta Factory. And I guess that's it for me. Skylar,
They look so good, by the way. They look really good. I wish I had a beard. I was like, oh, this is so good.
No, you don't.
No, I don't? Okay.
They smell really good. They smell really good.
Rachel, I'd love to like
potentially collaborate on some of the things you've been doing with Metafactory.
Yeah, I'm actually.
Those are all your clothing items, right?
No, just the beard
Okay.
oil. Just the
Oh,
beard.
just the beard oil. Okay.
Yeah, and then I'm doing a line for women that'll come out beginning of February.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So I'm Skylar, and I'm with ArtFan, which is a marketplace for artists right now. That is what we're doing is utilizing XR technologies to help artists turn their physical artwork into digital artwork, and also going back from digital, hey Jovian, also going back from digital to physical. So basically, as we kind of extend ourselves into a metaverse, there's going to be a need for a digital form of the physical objects you might want. And so we're helping artists transmute into the digital form. And we just put out a side project called XR Shirts, where we're using QR codes to render augmented reality designs, and working with different artists to just have some fun with that.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for sharing. We'll kick today's town hall with a little recap of the past year. So again, like the Panvala itself was launched on Ethereum mainnet in 2019. So last year, 2021, was kind of like the second full year of Panvala operating. And really, it's kind of when Panvala came into its own. We grew the Panvala's network of communities by 45 new communities. We grew 5 active coalitions of basically cross-community hangouts, more or less, where people come together across communities to hang out with one another, discuss things, make new connections across communities, and really build up that cross-community network that we're building here at Panvala. Our endowment that we share with our communities, we shared it with more communities and actually shared more resources as we grew, not less resources as we grew, which is great to see. And for the communities that bring in donations, a lot of them brought in donations with Pan, and they were matched at significant rates from Panvala's endowment from that, all happening last year. So looking forward, there's so much more work to do. Again, what we're trying to do here with Panvala is build as large of a network of communities who cooperate as possible, both so they can build those social connections between one another, but also so they can build economic connections that help them support more of the work that they're doing through the collective power that we can build up together. There's some resources that each individual community has access to individually, but collectively, we can use our collective power to be able to drive more and more resources towards the work that our communities are doing. And that's what we're really all about at the end of the day. So it's been a great year, and we're looking forward to even more great stuff happening this year as we grow the network and grow our kind of economic strength together. So again, we grew by over 45 communities last year. We're at over 70 communities. I don't have the exact number right now, but we're over 70 communities right now. And really, we're in that portion of Panvala's cycle where it's kind of time to distribute resources between those communities. So I'll get into an update about that in a couple of slides. But before we do that, I just wanted to highlight some of the newest communities within Panvala. Generous AF is a new community based in Oakland. Body Gallery is an artist community that's based in Portugal, I believe. And Ioweka, Uganda is a Ugandan-based community that's really bringing people together in Uganda. So we're really excited to see these new communities. Again, growing the network of communities is really core to our mission. We want to help as many communities cooperate as possible. And really that takes both adding new communities, but also helping them find the right place for them within Panvala. And that's what we use the coalitions for primarily. So we're happy to see new communities in Panvala. And if there's communities that you think should be a part of Panvala, like Jovian was saying a second ago, we want to welcome them. We want to share resources with them, and we want to get to know them. So really the focus of January, especially for the new communities that have joined recently, is really about staking. You can think of January as staking month. It's the month that all your questions about staking, especially if you're new, will be answered, and you can get started with that, so resources can start flowing to your community from Panvala's endowment. So there's kind of two steps to this process. And the first one is happening this week, literally right now. If you're watching this, now's the time to do this. And that's to submit the proof of community form for your community by this Friday. That proof of community form is very short. Again, what we use this for is to set the maximum amount that each community can get from Panvala. We just want to see how big is your community? How many people are there? If they give money to your community, how much do they give? And then we set the maximum amount that you can earn based on that. So it's just basically 4 questions that we ask. You fill out those 4 questions, and then we get to assign a number to you of your maximum that you can earn. Again, that's just the maximum. So the second step is actually staking Pan, because what your community earns is based on how much of Panvala your community owns or your supporters own. So again, it can be your community staking Pan that they collectively own, and they're like multi-sig wallet or something like that, and they're saying, we want our Pan to support our community. Or individual members of your community can get their own Pan and say, hey, I want my personal Pan to support my community, because that's what Pan is for at the end of the day. Like, you can't use your Pan to support yourself. You own it. Whatever value it has goes to you. But the inflation from Panvala, the endowment that we release each quarter, that only goes to communities. So you're just picking which community you want to support, and that's the point of the Pan that you hold at the end of the day. So that's going to kick off next week. Again, once we have all those forms submitted from every community, then we can tell you exactly like what the maximum amount that each community can stake is, and that's what's going to happen next week. You'll be able to find your community by clicking stake tokens on panvala.com. If you do that right now and your community was in Panvala last quarter, then you're already set up and you're good to go, and you can do that now. If your community is new, if you joined within the last couple of months, your community isn't there yet. Your community will be there a week from today, next Monday, and that's when your community will be able to stake. So the Pan that you're staking will start to count every day starting Friday, January 14th. We take daily snapshots of how much Pan is in each account that is said it supports each community. We take the totals of that, and that's what determines how much you're earning every day. And then about each month, we actually send you your community that Pan from the token supply that Panvala is releasing. So that's generally how it works. After you go through it the first time, you'll kind of get a feel for how that cadence works each quarter. But really, it's just about letting us know how big your community is, actually staking Pan to earn part of Panvala's endowment, and then receiving that on about a monthly basis. So to get an idea of what is available from Panvala, again, you can always go to panvala.com and see what the status of the endowment is in the little widget that pops up and tells you what's going on. There's going to be 1.5 million Pan released on January 28th, and that's currently worth about $157,000. And that's what we distribute to our communities from Panvala token supply. It's always good to see. And again, we don't like, this isn't a number that we arrived at by like debating it and saying, hey, this is how much we're going to spend. This is just what's baked into Panvala's smart contracts, the programs that we wrote to make Panvala work in the beginning. We just say, hey, the half-life of what's sitting in Panvala is 4 years. So every 4 years, what's available is going to cut in half. So 4 years from now, there won't be 1.5 million Pan coming out each quarter. It'll be half of that, 750,000. Wait, yeah.
Can I
Something
ask
like
a question?
Go ahead.
Okay, so every quarter, and I'm going to recap so I can explain what I understand. So every quarter we have an endowment that gets released. That's something like great, like 157,000 is this quarter. And then you need us to fill out the form that tells you the proof of community, right? Okay. And then next week is when I'm going to send out the emails that tell everyone how much they need to stake to match their to completely match their proof of community, right?
Exactly. So
Okay.
there's no required amount to stake, but we're going to tell people what their maximum based on their community size. It's like
Okay.
this portion of Panvala is available to you. Here's how you get it.
And at that point in time, it might be nice for us to make like a share email for those people as well, because they can update their supporters and ask their supporters to stake on their behalf. Right.
You're
'Cause I
exactly
know-
right.
Yeah, because I know there's a lot of people that want to support Jovian Network, and I could send them a share email that tells them, hey, stake 500 pan for me because it's going to help me get my matching tokens and keep it staked for this quarter, and then that helps me out without them having to like give me money. They can still support our projects.
Exactly that. So that's a great idea, and that's a great way to reach out to your community to get more support, and encouraging other communities to do the same thing is a great idea.
Cool, thank you. I will add that into what I will do next week when we do the share email for the staking.
Sounds great. Any other questions about staking? All right, so again, if you're watching this recording or you're here right now, always feel free to reach out with any questions. Again, there's the Calendly link. That's basically join.panvala.com. If you type in that URL and you schedule a call, like we can always like talk to you face to face and answer any questions you have. So if you're confused, you don't think you can find the information you need, go to join.panvala.com. Let's hop on a call and we'll walk through it with you. So next up is updates from across Panvala. So the first one is about the website, and Rachel, you can take that if you want to, but I can also do it.
Yeah, the website is officially going to launch. Well, this is our date. Hopefully it happens January 7th. And what else do I want to say about it? Kind of like what I mentioned last month, it's hopefully going to be more user friendly, and you find all the information you need on there. For people who are fellows, it'll be easier for us to update. We won't have to ask someone to do it for us. We can do it ourselves. I don't know, Niran, is there something else you want to say about it?
The only other thing is just showing people a quick preview of what it's going to look like. So again, this is kind of the almost ready to launch version of the site. Basically, we wanted to get across more clearly like what Panvala is, why you should be a part of it, how you become a part of it, what it's for, what kind of support your community gets, and just communicate that more clearly. So we hope when you see it that you feel that we've done a good job of getting that across more clearly. We've also kind of tried to combine more of what's in Panvala into one place. So some people may be familiar with the Panvala handbook that had a whole bunch of content. Instead of being in a separate place, that's now part of the website. So it's not a site, it's just part of the thing. It's integrated in there. The list of members is easier to update. So always going to have like this list of communities within Panvala that you can filter and browse through. Basically, we made a ton of updates to try to make it easier for people to understand what's going on. We're always open to feedback. It's a lot easier to make changes to the site now than it was before. So if there's something you feel isn't being conveyed well, like at the end of the day, this is yours. This belongs to you, and we want to make it serve you as best as it can. So always let us know that sort of thing. When you're trying to share what Panvala is with other communities, and you feel like you're struggling to get something across, we want there to be no struggle. We want it to be very easy for you to say, hey, I think your community would fit in well with Panvala. Here's the information you need. And if there's something about the website that's making it hard for you to do that, we want to fix it. So let us know. Any questions about the website? All right, next up is social media. If there are any updates, nothing required.
Nothing too crazy. If you have any coalitions or events coming up related to Panvala, please let me know so I can share them effectively. And then if people are going to ETH Denver and things like that, I will be there so I can do some live event moments. So yeah, just anything social media related, let me know.
Sounds great.
Well, we
Next
are
up,
looking,
go-
we're
go
gonna be,
ahead.
we're gonna be looking to do a women-led Web3 event again, and this time taking pictures. Because last time we didn't do a good job at taking pictures of this magical event, but I'll definitely share that with you when we get that.
Awesome, thank you.
Cool. Next up is any updates about the fellows, if there are any.
We're always looking for more fellows. Anyone who wants to be a part of Panvala and contribute in a meaningful way, there's an open door for you to come in and be a part of our community. I think that's it. I mean, we're just working away at everything that we need to accomplish, or the goals that we have for Panvala. And like I said, we can always use more help.
Sounds good. And then the last quick update is about the activities fund. So if you haven't heard of the activities fund before, the activities fund is a portion of Panvala's endowment that's dedicated towards basically grants for events. Like if you're putting together something that brings people together, like Panvala wants to support that all the time. So we set aside a percentage of that quarterly endowment distribution that's purely for that. And then people apply for grants from the activities fund. So basically we've been ramping up the activities fund to get it to the point where the grants are competitive, because basically since we allocate a portion of resources for the activities fund every quarter, it's been kind of piling up in the activities fund without enough applications to actually use it all. So we've made a big push for applications, and it's actually getting used up at a good rate right now, where we're on track to make that actually a competitive process where not everybody gets their grant application approved, which is kind of the goal. We want to use up the resources in the activities fund each quarter, and we want the resources to go to the best applications rather than just any application. So some examples of the applications that have been coming in so far, which have all been approved, is basically there was a happy hour in Austin. That was a partnership with ATX DAO, a local kind of city DAO that the Activities Fund supported. We supported Ethereum France with a grant to support some of their local meetups. There was a grant for an event at Art Basel in Miami. There's basically a lot of NFT and crypto events, and Reach and Pizza DAO put on an event that was sponsored by Panvala. And also there's something else that I'm missing, but that's the kind of grant application that's been coming in, and we want to see more and more of those. The general idea is that as we get to the point where the resources in the activities fund get used up, it starts becoming a competitive process. So instead of it just being everything gets approved, it's like, okay, which of these grants are most important to Panvala's mission of bringing communities together and helping them basically organize across communities. So some of the grants so far have just been like one community doing something, not really cross community type things. That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that like as it becomes competitive, we get to set the criteria collectively about like what is the most important type of event for Panvala to fund. If you're interested in being a part of that, if you have ideas about like what you think a great use of these event funds would be, then we want you to be involved in that process. If you are an event organizer and you're like, hey, I would like to have grants for my events, we want you to be involved. We want these grants to go to you. So that's really what the Activities Fund is about. It's actively being used. There's resources that have been sent out to several communities, and we want you to apply for those funds as well. Any questions about the Activities Fund?
I have one here on. So as the grants, as it becomes more and more competitive, is the idea to fully award those projects that are most aligned with Panvala, or to help more projects but maybe give less funds?
So that's up to everybody. So that hasn't been decided yet. It's just we get like whichever approach we think makes the biggest impact for Panvala is what we would do. So it could just be smaller grants. It could be just focusing resources on more cross community style events. It really just depends what we think is the most important, particularly the people who are involved in like both applying for those grants, reviewing those applications. Like it's kind of a duocracy. So if you have an idea and you think like if you think it's important, like we want to hear your input and have you be a part of governing that events fund. Any other questions? Cool. Next up on the slide is just a couple of reminders. If you are new, we always want to get you plugged in. There's the monthly town hall like this one that we want to make sure you're always aware about, so you can plug in and get your questions answered, hear what's going on in Panvala. There's also coalitions that are, again, these subgroups of like-minded communities where you can meet people that are in different communities than yours and make those connections across communities that are both very useful in general, but also vital for what we do with Panvala. And if you if you have any questions, we're always available for a call to answer those questions by just going to join.panvala.com and setting up a call. And then community check-ins are something that we do on our end to reach out to you to make sure that you are up to speed on what's going on with Panvala. We understand what's going on in your community. We try to reach out to every community about once every other quarter and set up a call with them to have a check-in. If you think your community needs a check-in, you can always request it on your own, again, by going to join.panvala.com, and we can basically put you at the front of the queue and set up a call with you to make that happen. But really, we always want to make sure that we reach out proactively to communities, and then if you have any issue, any question, any concern, that you have an avenue to reach out to us. So those both are there, and if you are one of the things that Panvala Fellows do is actually that community check-in process. If you like being involved with reaching out to lots of communities, learning what they're up to, finding out ways to help them, like you can actually be a part of that process, and we'd love to plug you in. So next up is the Panvala Coalitions, just giving people an overview of what's going on there. Rachel, did you want to take this on, or I can also do it? You're muted.
Nira, why don't you go first and I'll add anything if I feel like it's missing.
Sounds good. So we just wanted to collect all the current information about the coalitions so you know where they are and when they meet. So there's currently there's one more coalition that isn't on here because I didn't get the information to them in time. But these are 5 of the 6 coalitions right now. The Regenerative Commons Coalition meets on the first Thursday of each month. So that's actually this Thursday. There's a lot of communities like Giveth, Common Stack, Dandelion Collective. Basically the people trying to make sure that we have a regenerative economy rather than an extractive economy. That's kind of the vibe that unites them. And the Telegram link is in there. There's the Crypto Art Coalition. Again, there's lots of activity in crypto that's really focused on NFTs and digital art. And they meet on the second Wednesday of each month. We do that on Twitter, both so it's easy for people to join, but easy for people to kind of participate as an audience and hear the interesting discussions that are going on. The Telegram link for that group is also here. There's the Women-Led Web3 Coalition, which in my opinion is one of the most interesting coalitions that's going on right now. It meets on the third Thursday of every month, and the Telegram link is there as well. The Future of Work Coalition meets on the second Monday of every month, also on Twitter Spaces, to have that kind of panel with an audience type vibe to it. And you can join the Telegram group there. And lastly, the Humanetics Workshop is basically what our Digital Identity Coalition evolved into. It's kind of a great example of what Panvala is all about, namely, not necessarily creating all of our own coalitions on our own, but finding people who are doing the kind of cross-community organizing that's necessary for Panvala to succeed, and helping them do their own thing. So that's really how the Humanetics Workshop got plugged in as a coalition. They were already doing the kind of work that we wanted the Digital Identity Coalition to do. So rather than doing it as a separate initiative, we just help them do their thing and provide resources from Panvala's endowment, provide support from Panvala's fellows and other people involved in Panvala. Like, we just plug them into the network and help them do their thing. So they meet on the last Thursday of every month, and there's a Signal group that you can join to get plugged into that as well. Any questions or comments on Panvala's coalitions?
Yeah, I just also want to say that the coalitions can be whatever people want them to be. There's no exact formula for them to be successful. So if you're in Panvala, or as an individual member or as a community, you can form a new coalition whenever you want, and it can look like whatever you want. For example, the Women-Led Web3 Coalition looks nothing like the Humanetics Workshop, and that's almost a good thing. It's we're finding our own way through it. Sorry.
Babies are always welcome in Panvala. Basically, like, I love the point that you're making. Like, the point of coalitions is to bring people together across communities, because that's absolutely vital to what Panvala needs to do, and it's also very valuable for the people that we bring together. So it doesn't have to be a particular format. It's not like, oh, let's have a call every month and chat about whatever. Like, it's literally whatever keeps people showing up. Like, whatever people want to do on a regular basis that helps them build those cross-community bonds is a coalition. So if you have your own idea of what brings people together, we want you to try it. If you have your own idea for what would be a good coalition, a group, like, we'll help you create it. As long as it brings people together across communities, it's a good idea. So there's a lot of different coalitions doing their own thing, a lot of experiments in what's going on, and we want to see more of those so we can see what works. Organizing across communities is a very difficult work. Like, people, like, if you're involved in a community, your day-to-day focus is like what your community does, and the cross-community stuff is very hard to make time and space for. So that's why all of our experiments are trying to find ways to make that as engaging as possible, as valuable as possible for people to participate in, so we can forge those cross-community bonds that are actually very valuable for both the people participating and for Panvala. It's a very blank slate. You don't have to do it a particular way. We want to see your ideas for how to make a cross-community group work well. Rachel?
Yeah, just two more things, and if you're a part of a coalition right now that maybe you don't vibe with and you'd rather do it a different way, you can form a new coalition. And it's really easy to do. On our new website, there'll be a little form to fill out. It's just a few questions, and it's basically the information you see right here on this screen. Like, when are you meeting? What are you called? How are you connecting? And then a mission statement too. Like, why are you coming together? So you'll be able to find that on the new website.
Awesome. Any other questions or comments about coalitions? Good. All right, so the last thing that I wanted to mention is the Pamphlet Project. So if you haven't been plugged in, this is a new kind of initiative that we're trying to get done within the next 6 weeks or so. So there's a couple of ways to get the full picture of what we're trying to do with Panvala. There's different themes that have been written. There's different videos that are out there. The problem with them is that they take a long time to digest. So what we're trying to do with the Pamphlet Project is to create kind of a pamphlet-sized written thing that explains like what the possible world of Panvala is, what we're trying to build together, what's the point of all this cross-community organizing. So if you're very plugged in, you already know what's going to be in there because you've heard it in different forms over time. But we want to make sure that there's like one thing that you can literally hand to somebody. They could read it in a short amount of time, and at the end of the day, they're like, okay, this is what Panvala is doing. It's totally possible, and it's actually like a world that I would want to live in. Like that's what we want people to feel after they finish reading this thing. So we want it to be a collaborative effort. Like if you're part of Panvala, we want your feedback on what it is we're telling people that Panvala is doing. Like we want it to be a thing that you're excited about and a thing that you want to do. So if you're particularly interested in like shaping what this pamphlet looks like, we want you to tell us so we can keep you in the loop as these drafts are going back and forth. Because we want it to be literally something that you could sign your name to if you want to. Something that like there's a page in this pamphlet that's like, hey, there's all these people in Panvala that really want to produce this vision together, and here are the names of them. They co-sign this thing. So we want you to write it with us. We want you to be a part of this process of putting out this vision of this possible world that we could build together. Again, there's going to be a lot more like updates and messaging about this going forward as these drafts get out there. But I just wanted to put that on your radar. So if it's something that like, again, even if you aren't here today, but you're watching this recording, if it's something that you want to be a part of, like reach out to us. We want to keep you in the loop so you can be a part of it. The goal is to have literally a printed thing that we can give out to people at ETH Denver in February, which is, if you're not familiar with it, is a big Ethereum conference that happens every year, and be able to just hand it out to people. So like when people are like, oh, I've heard of Panvala, they're doing all this good community work, but they actually understand why we're doing that good community work. That's what we want people to understand. Any questions or comments about the Pamphlet Project?
How do so how should people reach out if they want to be involved in their own?
So the best way is if you're in the Telegram group, just say, I want to be part of the Pamphlet Project. Just say it in the Telegram group. If you're not in the Telegram group, send an email to membership@panvala.com. All right, so that's all the content we have for you for this very special New Year's version of the Panvala Town Hall. Again, normally there's a space for a community spotlight where we highlight what's going on within a particular community or two. But this is kind of a special one where there's not that there. Rachel, go ahead.
Can we do our prompt?
Oh, yeah, sure, go for it.
So this is just kind of fun, and there's no right or wrong answer, and you can go as far out there as you want. And the question is to everyone here, and you know, if you're watching this, you can ask yourself this later and respond in the Telegram chat if you'd like. But if you could get anything at all from Panvala, anything, what would it be? In other words, what do you as an individual or as an organization most need right now? And I'm happy to go first. I wouldn't say this is necessarily a need, but what I would love for Panvala to do is create its own event for all of its organizations to come together and meet each other. And I think that'd be a really powerful way to connect and to cross-pollinate, and for maybe new coalitions to form, new initiatives to form. But just to have that sense of family, community amongst everyone, I think would be really awesome. And I think it should go on our fellows mission for next year.
That's amazing.
I really like that too, FYI. Any other responses to the prompt?
For me, just finding ways to participate with other people. and whatever that might look like. I'm find myself to be multi-talented, and I'm sure other people are, and so I like working on many different things. So.
And Skylar, can I ask you, when you said finding ways to participate with other people, do you have a vision of what that would look like, or just?
Well, as I was listening to the other day, like how Google actually manages, I forgot what it's called, but it's basically like every week or month, or maybe it's a year, everybody posts the projects that they're working on and like what they have like going as far as project based, and then it's kind of this open forum so that anybody in Google can find a project that is similar or that they want to collaborate with or get involved with, and it's been really, really successful for Google. I forgot what the actual model for that is, but that would be awesome, just having a database of different projects within the different communities. Maybe it's a quarterly update, maybe it's every 6 months or every 12 months, whatever that looks like. And then like being able to just kind of build on it like a Slack channel in a way, that would be ideal for me.
Anyone else, can be in your wildest dreams.
Okay. So I need more balanced groups. I find that it's almost like when you're swimming in the ocean and then like you just get into a bad patch of water. Like that's kind of the way Web3 is. You can kind of go in and out of DAOs and places. But when you're in a place that's not balanced, or it's just, maybe it's completely male and then they're lacking like sensitivity, or they're lacking, certain definitions of productivity and things, you can inadvertently swim into a space that's very hostile to you, and not know until you start getting hurt. So I'm craving balance in spaces. And I'm seeing also pockets of women and pockets of men and pockets of this and pockets of that. But I'm craving like more diversity and more mixtures where people's individual identity doesn't become like a precondition of like what's allowed to be said and discussed in that group. And I live in Brooklyn, so it's also like my comfort zone is like having my identity not matter at all, because I live and interact so intimately with people all the time from different backgrounds, and I'm craving like balance, and I'm creating a new project, Diamond DAO, and it's in that early phase where it's growing like a bubble, and it's attracting again the early comers are usually male, 20 to 30, and then you start getting some in their 40 up to 40s, and you get this period of intense imbalance. So I'm really craving to create a more intentional balance in communities and find ways to make people feel very comfortable coming into and exchanging and being in each other's places and spaces.
Thanks for sharing that, Jovian. Microphones malfunctioning. Do you want to type in your idea or what your thoughts are? And we can speak them for you. The question is, if you could get anything from Panvala or have anything from Panvala, what would it be? And that could be as an individual or as an organization. So in other words, what do you most need right now? Sure, we can definitely repost it on the Telegram channel. For sure, I'll do that.
Cool. So we're gonna continue the prompt basically over text and Telegram, especially for the people whose microphones weren't working and the people who weren't here. But this has been great. I think it's a great way to kick off 2022. Really excited to work with each and every one of you and your communities to basically drive more resources towards community life. At the end of the day, that's what Panvala is really all about. There's so much value in our economy that comes from me and you, but doesn't go to me and you. Our attention gets captured by these advertising companies, the Facebooks, the Googles of the world. Like there's all these places where value comes from us and goes somewhere else. And we want to redirect that to communities instead. And that's why we want to build this network of as many communities as possible. The more communities we have working together, the easier it is to redirect that flow of value in all the places that match that economic pattern, value coming from us, but not going to us. Like that's the value that is available for communities to really fund the things that they do. And it's such a large amount of value, like it's kind of hard to to convey. But like the more we work together, the more resources we can drive towards community life. The token, the endowment that your communities get today is really just kind of a way to kickstart that flow. Like it's not the flow yet. Like it's driving resources to communities using a resource that we invented as a way to kickstart this flow of value that we actually redirect from our current economy. So really, we want your communities to thrive. We want everybody's communities to thrive. But because again, it's not value that I'm creating and trying to give to you. It's value that you already create in our economy that we want to help you capture by working together with as many communities as possible. So I think this is going to be a big year in general, both for DAOs as a concept, for people to understand what they're about, but also for people to understand what's possible with new ways of organizing, that we actually can reshape the way our economy works. Rachel?
Yeah, I just want to read the responses that were written in the chat. The biggest need right now will be expanding our network of friends and partners, especially to achieve more goals of training devs and helping Web3 projects in Africa start up easily. And as an individual, I have to be more involved with Panvala so I can contribute value to the workspace by connecting with other interesting people in the league. So what it sounds like from everyone is more connection, more involvement with more people, which is what really Panvala is, what part of our mission. So I love all these different ways people are coming up with how to connect or ways they want to connect. So thanks for sharing, everyone.
Thanks so much, everyone. Thank you all for being part of Panvala, both as individuals and as your communities. We're looking forward to doing so much great work with you over this year and driving more value towards communities like yours. Thanks, everybody. Have a great month and reach out with any questions. Go to join.panvala.com, set up a call. We want to make sure all your questions get answered. Have a good one.